You're a bird's eye view up in the high sky, up in a balloon, I wanna ride. You're the third guy catching up in my eye from a distance that I wanna feel. Oh, I don't even.
Hi everyone, I hope you are well. Today I am looking through some questions that the lovely Jess from Fierce and Fabulous Revolution has sent me over. She is wanting to review my single, which is coming out for pre-order on May the 1st, and it's available on the 15th of May. And yeah, she sent me over a bunch of questions, and I'm really excited about doing this interview, and I thought I would share it with you. You'll also be able to get the link on the bottom of this video for the actual review printed, so you can read it properly. So yeah, I've already started answering some, and then I'm just going to kind of carry on now down the bottom. So I've gotten up to when did you first discover your passion for music? So this is really interesting for me because my passion for music, I feel, has always been there, has always been inside of me. There's numerous memories that come to me when I think about this question. The first one that strikes me the most is probably when I was with my sister. My sister is 8 years older than me, and we used to go to like the shop every weekend with my dad, and he'd always buy us a magazine each. And I remember she would always buy the fashion magazines and stuff like that, and I would always kind of copy her until this one afternoon where I saw a picture of someone on the front who was singing, and there was a guitarist, and I thought, I'll check this out. And actually it was a massive article on Bon Jovi, and I had like no clue, because I was really young at the time, who that was. But I remember sitting that afternoon reading the magazine, and then some songs coming on the radio and different things, and sort of telling myself like, oh, I could do this, this could be me. And that was really young. I'd say that was, if my sister was around 16, which is probably that point, I would have been 8, so probably 8 or 9. And I was very influenced by the music that my sister used to listen to as well. I used to hear Alanis Morissette endlessly coming from her room, and Backstreet Boys, boy bands, all sorts of things. So yeah, it's a nice question as well, because it kind of brings back a lot of memory links. So this next one is really interesting. So how would you describe your musical style to someone unfamiliar with your music? So my musical journey so far really has been, funnily enough, a fierce and fabulous ride, I would say. I definitely have gone through a bit of a change, and I would say that it's not necessarily a change that I've actually made. I think it's just the fact that I started playing guitar in lots of rock bands, and it was because rock was the thing to play at that time, and I was brought up on a lot of rocky music. But I think after my journey through my earlier bands here in Bristol, and then the bigger Australian rock trio Tequila Mockingbyrd, being on some of the lineups with people like Slipknot was very, very interesting for me, but deep down I've always been probably more into commercial pop rock, I would say, and even though we had some really wonderful experiences and I met a lot of really cool and influential people, this change that it's gone through now into this kind of more pop scene might have come to a slight shock to some of my fan base or my followers, but for me it's more like, actually no, this is kind of coming from me now. This is actually what I'm writing. It's not that I'm now in this band and this is what this band is about. And that for me was a big hurdle in my mind to get over, especially after I wasn't in the band anymore. It was like, well, people expect me to do this, but actually I want to do this. So it's really cool. And actually so far everyone supported me, which is lovely. So yeah. Moving on. So you're about to release your brand new single, One Lump of Sugar, on May the 1st. How did the idea to create this song come together? Wow, that is an interesting question, funny story. So a lot of my followers know that I decided this year, last year, to actually kind of give up renting my own flat, so that I could actually rent a music space solely for that, like have a music writing room. I really wanted to create my songwriting journey and set it up like a proper business as well. And so I had this room and I was DIY making this room the whole of last year. I put like a stage in. My dad's a carpenter, he came along and helped me build it and things. And it's really turned into like my space, my private space. And I only go in there to songwrite. And basically, I was away over Christmas and I had written this Christmas song in my room, which a lot of people got involved with. I put out a 2-minute song session of mine, like I do every now and again, and I had some suggestions for this song and it turned into a Christmas song. So this song then got passed around my family, and a lovely relative of mine in Ireland actually sent it to her local radio station in Belfast, and then the presenter of the radio show actually played it for me on Christmas Eve, which was amazing. And I was actually in Italy at the time for Christmas, and I got to listen to my song on Belfast radio, which was awesome, on Christmas Eve. So I had a really enjoyable time making that song, and how that song developed and had some wings and flew, which was lovely. And I came back and this radio presenter told me that he actually had a television show and he would love to have me on if I was planning on going out to Ireland at some point. So I had 2 reasons to go to Ireland. One was one of my friends who I'd met in Spain before was there and had been there for ages and had been asking me to go out for a long time, and I had no time to do it. So it was his last month and it would have actually been his last weekend in January. So I thought, I'll go for his last weekend and I will make a trip to Belfast and we'll figure it out. I'll rent a car from the airport, be fine, we'll just figure it. And that's exactly what we did. And we went out there and I took my mum with me because my mum really wanted to see some of our family. And we managed to visit a couple of our cousins and some relatives, and it was great. And the lady who sent the music into the radio show actually came to the Belfast studios as well, which was fantastic. So then, developing on from that, or before we even got there, he wanted me to play some new songs, and I had a lot of songs in the making at that point in my music room, and I had my whiteboard up with my billion notes. And I was sat there one afternoon with my guitar and I was working on the ones that I'd already been writing, and then this one just came literally out of nowhere, like when something just kind of travels through the air and just goes zonk. That's exactly what happened. And I just had these words: you're a bird's eye view up in the high sky, up in a balloon I wanna ride. And I was just like, oh, pad and a pen, let's just write this down. And that song basically wrote itself, and out of that song has now developed an entire fantasy Wonderland. And a lot of people on my group have been really getting behind my ideas, and it's the inspiration behind it was almost like feeling quite recently, some close people to me, there was a bit of I hadn't really realised, but during the Christmas period we'd kind of grown apart quite a bit, and I really felt that, and I think this song was almost like a reflection of how I felt, and it was a way of trying to almost bridge the gap again, I suppose. You're a bird's eye view up in the high sky, like as if like, you know, you're seeing things from a different place, and I don't know why you're seeing things from a different place. I want to understand that. So let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's play a game where we can all or both take part. It's about wanting to, kind of be in that. And then it kind of turned into a fantasy and how it could develop from there. So yeah, that would be the inspiration and where it all came from. And then it was great that it flew to Ireland, which was awesome. I got to play it in Dublin too. So yeah, that was great. So do you have any upcoming releases planned, and which you can tell us about? So yes, after this first One Lump of Sugar is released, there is now going to be another single, which funnily enough is called Bang Bang Drop. And this will then be followed by an EP, and the EP is going to be called T for Two, to come into play with the One Lump of Sugar idea. There's also another song called Give Me More, and we've created this whole entire fantasy Alice in Wonderland type theme to it. So I'm really looking forward to that. The dates are still to be decided on Bang Bang Drop, but they're coming. When you are not performing, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Well, I love being creative generally, so I'll always write songs. Dancing and commercial dancing is something that last year really came to me after my experience in Spain. I decided I really wanted to focus on pushing my skills so I can use them for my music videos and different things. And I started going to classes in Bristol quite a bit, and I met the wonderful Becky Humphreys, who is an amazing dancer. She is originally from around here, and she had moved to London for her training, and now she does her own classes in my hometown, and she really started a really cool following in Bristol, and it's kind of grown and grown and grown now. And yeah, so that's down at Motion Studios. If you're ever in my hometown and you like that, then do check it out. I also love to kind of create all the different ideas that I'm going to put for my next lot of packages on Patreon. So I do a subscription service for my followers through Patreon, and people can sign up to it like a subscription, and you pay X amount per month. There's offers on there for as little as $1 a month, up to $10, $15, $50. You can go as high or as low as you want, and you can test trial them out as well and see what it's like. So I really like getting involved and developing that. My recent development with that was actually pairing up with this man I met in a market who makes these really lovely pure fruit liqueurs, and they're all in different flavours. And I was singing in the market, and I was booked for 2 hours, I think, with me and my loop pedal. There's actually a video on my YouTube of Bang Bang Drop, actually, my loop version of it, and that was the same day in the market. And I met this man, and he had these lovely liqueurs, and he offered me one for free and gave me a little bottle to take home, which was lovely. And I got in touch with him and I said, do you feel like getting involved on my packages for my certain level of Patreon subscribers? And he was really interested. And unfortunately now at the moment the lockdown session has started, so I imagine lots of businesses are feeling the hit of this at the moment. So there hasn't been too many more developments right now, but I am excited to say that we are definitely going to launch this when things get back to normal again. So yeah, in my spare time, I love thinking outside the box, what else I could do. There's also my music school that I run. I oversee now 5 to 6 other teachers that are now teaching their instruments, and I like to put the events on for all of the students. So I do a lot of event organising 3-4 times a year, and I put the kids into bands. So we have tiny little kids that are about 7, 8, all playing piano, guitar, drums, and we throw them all together and we create a really cool rock school type-esque band formation. So I have lots to keep me busy in my spare time. There's also my cat, which I think is, can you see him there? He's completely asleep, like normal, but Jet's a big character in my life. Anyway, so I've not gone through all of these questions because I want you to read them online, but she's given me quite a few good ones, and this next one, she's put here, if you could duet with anyone in the world, who would it be and why? I ain't checking what I've wrote on that one. Yeah, I mean, as most artists probably say, this is quite difficult. I would love to do a loop pedal guitar collaboration with Ed Sheeran, because that would be amazing. And he headlined Wembley on his own, which was insane. So I mean, that would be crazy. That would also be great. I've also been recently playing a lot of John Mayer, and I saw John Mayer at the O2 Arena a few years back, which was really, really good. I'd love to sing with him. Lady Gaga is very influential to me, especially with that film that she did, A Star Is Born. It was such a great film. What have I put here? Yeah, I've referenced back to... There's one female vocal that has always gotten my attention right from the start, and that is an American singer called Kay Hanley. She had this band back in the 90s called Letters to Cleo, and when I first saw that film and saw her and the way that she looked and the way that she sang, there was something about it that caught me, and I just thought, oh my god, like, I want to do that. And it kind of reinstated that thought in my mind, like, it was just, you have to do this. But her soft rock-esque voice is something that will always stick with me, always. I'd love to sing with her, would actually be really cool. Let's look at this next one. What is the best piece of advice someone has offered you about pursuing a career in music? Well, I went to a music school for university, and difficult question, because a lot of advice was given. It was. But it was more like, how can I explain? You kind of become aware of the competition elements, I think, when you're at uni like that and you're in that environment with other musicians. You learn who the teacher's favourites are, and that's not like a nasty, like, you know, teacher's pet kind of thing. It's, you kind of, certain artists and certain musicians will stand out in their field because they get something really well, or they have really good, it kind of, all of the different like areas of a musician kind of become amplified, and it kind of goes into like a more like a higher realm. So it's not only like, does someone play that really well and they play it beat for beat, note for note, let's say a drummer for example, it's banging time and it's really on the beat, you know, they can't fault that metronome. And then you get like another drummer in, and not only do they play it beat for beat on the note, but there's like something about their playing where they really feel it, and you suddenly get like an awe when they're playing, and that's kind of what develops out of these music unis, I think. And I think that there wasn't really advice given on how you should be in terms of how you should think. I think the advice that was really given was more about how you should act. And I think I'm gonna, in this answer, I'd actually more likely to reference something that I heard on that, is it Pop Idol? I think Lionel Richie said something to a 16-year-old that I watched back on like Facebook or something the other week, and it actually nearly made me cry. And I just kind of thought, that's so true, and I wish that almost someone had told me that when I was a lot younger. But he basically let this 16-year-old go to Hollywood, and she did her bit of singing and everything, and it wasn't bad, it was in tune, and she had something, she was nervous, but it wasn't the best that they probably heard that day, let's say that. And instead of telling her no, they took into account that she was young, but at the same time he said to her, I'm going to let you through for 2 reasons. Number one is that you are going to learn a lot from this experience, which kind of basically insinuated that she most likely wouldn't win it, but she's going to learn because she's going to come up against kind of like that thing in uni, I suppose, when you notice who's doing what and who's kind of almost like flourishing in certain areas of their career or their abilities. So I thought that was really interesting. He said you're going to learn a lot, but then number 2, he said, I think you're strong, like up here, like mentally, and that was true because the way that she came on, she was very confident, like she had a lot of confidence, and she was like, I am so and so, I'm from this place and I'm this and I'm that, and but it wasn't in a egotistical way either. It was just like I'm very much here presence. And he said to her, I think you're strong mentally, and that is the most important thing in this game, because anything can happen to you. And when I heard that, I did actually nearly cry, because how true is that? Like, I now look back on my experiences and things that I've had to go through, even through uni, that were difficult, and even in my last bands, Tequila Mockingbyrd, sitting down with a music lawyer at points for different things. Like, there's a lot of, this career can throw so much at you, and in so many different ways, and I think you have to be okay with whatever happens, because if you are not okay with whatever happens, you are not going to have control over yourself, and that's the most important lesson really of it all, I think. So I was really impressed with his advice. I thought it was fair and square, and it was great. And I think that now brings me to the last part. So is there anything you would like to say to the readers of Fierce and Fabulous Revolution? Well, I think I said quite a lot, but I will finish this off with the fact that at the moment we're all in this lockdown. Lots of musicians, like me and my friends and other people around, are doing lots of live streams at the moment, so we're trying to keep as many people together online as possible. If you are a musician, or even if you're not a musician, make sure you support others, like pop into their streams, write some comments up. It makes you feel good when you know there's people there watching and people are having a good time. Sing along, get involved, and don't be alone at the moment. Even if you are on your own, try not to, try to at least be on the internet, at least be doing something, occupy your time, be creative, and put out positive vibes, because you never know what's going to happen. One day can change absolutely everything. You just never know. And if you do want to learn any more about me and my music, I have almost completely started right the way over again. There are some tracks up on Spotify from Louisa Maria. My Christmas song is there as well. But I've also got my Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and of course my Patreon. So Facebook is Louisa Maria Official. There's also my group. Patreon is Louisa Maria B. Twitter is Louisa Maria B. And there's my website, which at the moment is being looked at to create a membership exclusive area. So it's louisamaria.co.uk. and the single is out for pre-order on iTunes 1st of May, so make sure you check that out. And lastly, the actual release date is May the 15th. So yeah, I really hope to see you guys at a gig or so at some point. And thank you so much, Jess at Fierce and Fabulous, for this wonderful interview. There's a lot more questions on here and I have answered all of them. So I'm about to send this off to you now. And once it's out, I will link the video here to the published version online. So thank you very much, and hopefully guys, I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Oh, I'll take one lump of sugar and you'll take another. One lump of sugar and you'll take another. Two.